What is going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Welcome to the double feature, the AV Experience Podcast. We had one earlier this afternoon at 2 p.m. with Arndl. That was a really great conversation.
Did you say it right?
I did, Arndl.
Yeah, you did.
So something like that. We asked them.
You still second guess yourself. I second guess myself
every single time, because originally I used to say Arndale and Arendel, but it's Arndl. It's kind of like one word. So what's going on, guys? Let me know where you're joining in the chat. We'll say hi to some folks here in just a second. We'll have some updates for you regarding MWave. Really excited about that. And then we will also be answering your questions, home theater questions. So make sure you drop those in the chat. We will get those queued up and answered throughout the show. Don't really have a topic for tonight, so we're just going to hang out for a little bit.
Questions.
Probably won't be super long because, like I said, this is our second podcast for today. So yeah, man, let me know where you're listening in from or watching in from. I know earlier we had a lot of folks, more folks than usual from overseas. We had some from Denmark. I think there was some from, where else was it, Ryan? Help me remember.
I don't even know.
It was all over the place, but it was cool because it's a lot later there. I think it's like 6 hours later there. So if we start at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's like 4 in the morning. You know.
Are you talking about where Arendal was from?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're from Norway.
Yeah, but I mean, like there were other folks kind of over that way, you know, that were listening in that normally don't get a chance to listen live because of the time difference. So super cool. Let's see who we got in the chat. We'll say hi to some folks. We got Soleil, Tyler, good to see you. Finster, Joe, Tarhoya, Megatron, Derek, Rich, Kyle, Mike, lots of folks. Let me see where you guys are tuning in from. We got Omaha. What's up, Mike? Another Floridian. Mike, let me know if you're a native Floridian. I'm curious. Man, there's very few of us that are native. I was born and raised. CJ, my man from Trinidad. Went to school with some folks from Trinidad. Good, sweet folks, man. From Noblesville, Indiana. Good to see you, Clinton. Quebec. We'll get to your question in a second, Steve. Steve's from Quebec. Got North Carolina. Jamaica. You ever been to Jamaica, Ryan?
Nope.
Man, it's a cool place. Jessica and I want to go back and actually just stay there. We went on a cruise and we're just kind of like in and out. You know, you get to stay there for like one day. But man, phenomenal place. Super cool people. And their jerk chicken. Woo, man, that's some good stuff. Got folks from Denmark. What is going on, Tango? Tango's joining us for the doubleheader. Got to be late there, man. Cool. Australia. Yeah, you guys are all over the place, man. Wisconsin. Super cool. I'm from Cybertron. Casey. All right. Cool, man. Good to see you guys. Yeah, native Floridian in from Atlanta. Good deal, man. Cool deal. Where's Jonathan? So Jonathan was going to join us earlier because tonight he has a family obligation. And then he was running a little bit late and he said, hey, I'll be on in 15 minutes. So we were on with the show. I had my phone on silent, so I didn't check it. And he's like, hey guys, would it be weird if I pop in now, like in the middle of it? And I didn't see it till after the show. I was like, dang it. So yeah, hopefully he'll be back with us next week. So we got nothing. I've been talking to Jonathan most of the afternoon. He's been giving me some updates for MWave, and I'll share that with you in just a second. We got folks from Cali as well as Long Island, New York. First super chat, Scott, good to see you. And Kat, I know these guys have been kicking it every week, twice a week on their podcast. So appreciate the love and support. Wouldn't be anywhere else on a Sunday night. You guys rock. You rock even more, man. Appreciate you and Kat. Always a lot of fun. So check them out on YouTube as well as I think they're streaming to Facebook as well, or at least plugging it on Facebook. You may have to watch them on YouTube, but good stuff, man. All right. Well, Ryan, you keep starring and we'll just go ahead and jump in.
So Benny says you sound low and I sound loud.
That is so weird, man. This thing is, so here's my gain. Hang on.
Can anybody else corroborate that?
I mean, mine's up 3/4, so tell me if that sounds better. So I'm just going to talk for a second.
Is that better?
Appreciate the insight, Benny. What's weird is it sounds identical. Well, actually, I can't hear my voice.
Yeah, I can't hear my voice either, but it's
Maybe
probably
that's
because I moved my desk and the gain knob got changed, so
okay. Is that better? I'm hearing
say
yes, yes,
yes.
yes.
Alright, good.
Good deal, man. I had to bump mine up a little bit.
Thanks for letting us know, and anytime that happens, guys, or you notice anything, let us know. It's hard for us to tell. We don't do any pre-checks because we're lazy, so you letting us know,
Well, that's the thing. How do you
definitely
do a
helps.
pre-check if you can't hear it?
Well, I could do a pre-check, and I could do a loop back and listen to
Okay.
myself, but I'm
I'm
lazy.
not fancy, man. I don't know what a loop back is.
I'm
All
lazy.
right, let me do this. Let me share my screen, give you a little update on MWave 2024. So, of course, actually, let me back up here. Go to the home page just real quick. All right, let me pull this up here. So, I hope you guys will join us. MWave 2024, June 21st through the 23rd. It's going to be incredible. This is our 3rd year doing this.
Can you believe
This
it's
year,
our 3rd year?
it's wild, man. It is
Ugh.
absolutely wild. So we're excited. We had a great time. Benny in the chat, he was there with us. He was one of our photographers, and so I appreciate him. So Benny, hopefully you'll be joining us. I think I already talked to you, but I think he's going to be joining us for 2024. So we're excited about that. But if you go to the website, midwestavexperience.com, right up at the top under attend, I've got a new link here that says home theater experiences. And so I want to kind of just go over briefly how that's going to be different than last year. Last year, to have access to local home theater tours, and we called them tours last year, we're trying to kind of tie it all into an experience because that's really what MWave is about. It's providing these really cool home theater experiences. And so one thing that we want to do is make it more accessible to you guys. Last year, it was only VIP Gold and VIP Platinum that could attend these home theater experiences. And so the unfortunate thing is that limits the amount of people that can do it. Number one, just because of the cost, it was $750 for VIP Gold, $1,750 for VIP Platinum. And so for some people, they're like, dude, that's way out of my budget. And so we wanted to figure out a way, how can we make that more accessible? And the other thing is, last year we were only limited to 15 people, well, technically 20 people total that could do those just because of space. So we brainstormed and we think we came up with a really solid plan to not only lower the cost, to allow more people access to it, but also allow for more people to physically participate in these and have these home theater experiences. So on that page, you can see the date is the day before MWave. So MWave is the 21st. So this will take place on Thursday, the 20th. We have them in 2.5-hour time slots, and that's going to be based on the homeowner's availability. Currently, only one of the homeowners, there was 3 time slots during the day. There's a morning, kind of mid-afternoon, and an evening, and he wasn't able to do the morning. But that'll all be on the next page, and I'll show you. And then the cost is, we're just going to do it a la carte. So you'll buy your normal ticket, $75. And then if you want to add on one of these experiences, or 2 of them, or 3 of them, however many, then you can do that just a la carte. And so right now we've got, I think there's 5 or 6. So we've got Ryan Charpentier. He's got his information there. Jonathan. We've got Ivan. We've got Sheldon. And then also another Ryan, who's chirpy on the AVS forum. Stephen Dew is sending me his information. And then there's some others that are trying to figure out if they can work it out schedule-wise. And so ideally, what's going to happen, let's just go ahead and click on Ryan's. So you can come here. So we don't have registration open available for
Mine
this.
is horrifically out of date, by the way.
Of course. So we got to update his, but I've been asking him. He's just been
I'm
busy.
lazy.
Nah, we got, so we need to get some new photos here, but basically each page will have some photos of the home theater. So you can kind of get an idea visually what it looks like. We've got room dimensions. We've got how many guests per tour. And the way that we're doing this is we're only going to allow each time slot. So let's say 9 to 11:30. There's only going to be 3 guests in Ryan's home. Then From 12:30 to 3, another 3. And then from 4 to 6:30, there'll be another 3. So 9 people will have access to be able to come and experience his home theater. There's some additional information as far as like his configuration, 11.5.6, list of his speakers and subwoofers and processors and all that stuff. And again, some of that needs to be updated. But the key is you're going to be able to look at this and go, man, Ryan's got a similar size of my room or the room I'm thinking about building. And, or maybe you've always wanted to hear Martin Logan speakers, or maybe you want to see the NZ9 in action in a real home theater. So that's the purpose of this. And then if you come back up here, back to home theater experiences, one of them, I'll go all the way to the bottom. I'll just show you one more. So Chirpy, his is actually under construction right now. So he's got a 9.4.6. He's got the same speakers that Jonathan has, but he's got 4 21-inch Kraken subwoofers, full Martys, Epson LS12000, and a massive 200-inch screen. So this one is currently being built. You can kind of see the images here. We'll scroll through. So you can see, man, those things are massive. Holy cow. But that's his room. So it's under construction. So Chirpy, Ryan, is going to be sending me updates as he builds. And you can see right here, this is the only one that's like this. This home theater is under construction, but we will finish. It'll be finished in May prior to MWave 2024. And I'll update the photo with photos as he progresses. But again, you can look at this and go, man, I've always wanted to hear 21-inch subwoofers and experience that. If I back up, I'll show you one more. I lied. Told you I wasn't going to. But look at this. Sheldon. Here's an example. This guy's off the chain. Sheldon has a, where's it at?
16.
Oh, I want to update this. It's technically a 7.16.4, and that is not a typo. So he's got all of this, JBL surrounds, mains, but then check this out, 16 sticking 18-inch subwoofer. So he has 4 18s stacked. You can see it right here in each corner. Ryan, did that make that big on your end?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it did or if you're seeing the like the full page. So, oh yeah, I can see it now. But yeah, so that thing is crazy. So anyway, so that we just want to give you opportunities and allow more people. But you can see with Sheldon's, he can do 7 people per time slot. So he can do 7 at the 9 a.m. slot. He can do 7 more at the 12:30, and then 7 more at the 4 p.m. So if you got any questions regarding that, drop it in the chat. Just let us know. We'll be glad to answer that. But just as far as timeline, I want to open up regular, just general admission on, what is that, November the 1st. Okay. And there's no limit to that. So, I mean, you don't have to rush out and get them, but if you want to go ahead and get them, that just helps us to prepare to know how many people is going to be there. And then in December 1st, that's when we're going to add all of the home theater tours that you see on this main page back here. And that'll give me some more time to get all that information from the home theater community in the Kansas City area and to get all of that added. And then I've also got to build a shopping cart section of that. So you can, click on, say, for instance, Jonathan's, and then you select which one, which time slot. And then, of course, there's only going to be so many availability for each one of those time slots, depending on how many theater seats that they have in their thing. So it's going to take me a little bit to do that. So I want to give myself plenty of time. So that's why I'm doing that December the 1st. So hopefully that all made sense. You can check it out. It's currently live on the website. We just don't have the buy it now or to add to cart on the shopping cart. We won't do that until December the 1st.
Here's a question.
Let me
Mia asks, is it $200 per person for the tours, or just the cost of your normal MWave ticket and then $200 for the tour?
Sure. Great question, Mia. So you would pay your $75. That's just your general admission. That gives you all 3 days access to the MWave event at the Kansas City Convention Center. So that's Friday night, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. The tours are basically just separate from the event because these are homeowners. So that would just be like a la carte. So let's say, for instance, if you wanted to do Jonathan's at the 9 o'clock hour, and then you wanted to go to Ryan's at the 11, I think 30 hour, then that would be 200 for Jonathan's and 200 for Ryan's. And we're actually going to split that cost with the homeowner because we want to be able to give back to them and say, hey, look, thank you for opening up your home, your gear to, I mean, let's just face it, these are some strangers. Even though we're a family in this community, it's still strangers. And it also has taken up an entire day that they could be spending with their family. So we want to love on them and basically just give them, just a thank you, basically. So great question there. What else? Any other questions on that? Hopefully that all made sense.
Not yet. I haven't seen anything. I'll get them as they come up.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and jump on the questions.
She asks, is it her and somebody else? Yes, it is per person.
Correct. It's per person because we're only going to have the amount of seats that they have available. So those will be per person that wants to attend that. Great question. All right. And then, like I said, if you got any more questions about MWave or those home theater tours or home theater experiences, let us know. We'll just go ahead and jump into the questions. Salah says, how can I connect the soundbar to the projector, which doesn't have eARC port?
So usually what would end up happening in those situations is your source would run into the soundbar, then the soundbar would feed the projector. Is typically how soundbars operate. So you would just have to, you're not plugging the sources into the projector like you typically would a lot of times with a TV and then backfeeding using eARC. You're going to run everything into the soundbar, and then the soundbar is going to send on the audio signal or the video signal to the display.
So does the soundbar, I've never owned a soundbar, never even seen one. Do they have HDMI out on there?
A lot of them do.
Okay. So again, it's going to depend maybe on the particular soundbar that you're using. So if not, you would do, yeah, you may even have to split the audio and video signal.
You could use a splitter.
I guess it just depends on what connections. But if you have an HDMI out, it's just going to feed the video because you don't need audio coming from the projector. So good question there. Tarhoya, happy podcast doubleheader. Appreciate it, man. Steve says, hey guys, from Quebec, a question for Ryan. Last week you mentioned that it's not good to plug a sub into a power conditioner. Let us know why.
It depends on the power conditioner. For really good ones, I don't really anticipate it being a problem. But for a lot of subs, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Like if you're doing big boy subs, like there's no way I would run my JTR 4000s through a power conditioner. No way. Or like the PB16s or any of that stuff. Maybe on the better power conditioners, I just think you're opening yourself up to potential problems and not feeding possibly the subwoofer with all the power that it needs. Because as how like breakers and stuff work is the breaker is actually heat sensitive. That's what trips the breaker is heat buildup. So the subwoofers and stuff momentarily, let's say you're on a 15 amp circuit, are going to push well past the capabilities of the 15 amp circuit for momentary positions in time, and then they're immediately going to come back down. But because they do it so short, the breaker or what it's connected to doesn't have time enough to heat up to where it's going to trigger. So you're going to push well past 15 amps in a lot of situations momentarily. But I would not run any of that through a power conditioner because you're just adding more variables, right? You're adding potential for things to get in the way. And I think the more you can eliminate those, the better. Now, if you have a situation where you've got a ground loop or hum or something, definitely try it. Try a cheater plug. Don't keep it on a cheater plug because you're eliminating your ground. But there are places and times where power conditioners are going to be beneficial. So that's really why I wouldn't do it. And as Ryan said, yeah, you can accidentally bottleneck yourself by using a conditioner. Even though you're trying to prevent damage, you can cause things to happen inexplicitly.
Good question, man. So kind of going back to the home theater experiences, Herc says these tours are going to cost me money. Anytime we hang out and talk about, and you get a good demo, yeah, it can definitely cost you some money because you're going to be like, dang, I want a new projector, or man, I need some new theater seats, or wow, man, now I know what tactile transducers do, what those feel like. And
You
then
guys
what?
are running into the position that we get ourselves into in Kansas City all the time. It's
You've said many
awful.
times, like Jonathan has cost you tons of money.
Yeah, and I've cost Jonathan money. I mean, it's keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
but it's not just looking at something, it's
It's your friends.
experiencing something,
Yeah.
and it's awful,
Mhm.
especially when that something is expensive.
Yeah.
It can be helpful and it can be beneficial, but it can be rough living
Yeah.
close to these guys.
I'll tell you what's gonna be rough is Ryan's doing a home theater experience on his wife's 50th birthday, bro. That's crazy, man.
Mm,
You may have to, like, really treat her out either before or after MWave.
I don't think my wife would care as long as we celebrate it beforehand.
Yeah, that'd be me too. I mean, but 50 is a big deal though. Like to me, I could care less about 50. I told Jessica already. I'm like, look, don't do something goofy for me, like a black cake. That's I don't know. I don't get into that. Let's go do a cruise or something.
A
Let's
black
celebrate.
cake?
Yeah, because 50 is like, oh, you're over the hill, so everything's black, black balloons and a black cake, and yeah, a lot of people do that. He says dead man walking. Yeah, he could be, man.
So
All
back
right.
to the question about power
Mhm.
conditioners. I would do in your situation, Brian, I would do a whole home surge protection instead
Mhm.
of power conditioning. If you get hit by lightning, you're
Mhm.
screwed.
Yeah, we talked
Nothing is stopping that. We talked about this, I think, last week. You're just done for. But in
yeah,
a like ground hit somewhere that's close to you, yeah, they can help. But I would do a whole home surge
yeah.
would be my
There's a lot of
suggestion.
things. I mean, you can have them connected to a surge protector instead of the power conditioner. You can have a whole house protection.
But a lot of
Uh,
surge protectors suck.
I know. Well, here's the thing, and Brian, I mean, you know, we're the lightning capital of the world, so we get a lot of lightning, and when we do, it can really wreak havoc on some things. So, I mean, there have been many, many times that I'll hear lightning when I'm asleep. It's 2, 3 in the morning, and my butt jumps up. I head to the theater room. I just start unplugging stuff. Unplug my projector. Unplug the one that power that feeds all of my stuff in my rack and my 2 subwoofers, and then I go back to bed. Then the next morning I'll plug it back in. So that's the best way. So Simon's makes a good whole house surge device. So
There's a
good
lot of
surge.
companies that do, but that's
Mhm,
would be my suggestion because then you're not only protecting
mhm.
potentially your home theater, but the whole home. But
Yeah.
again, if you get hit by lightning directly, you screwed. Nothing's stopping that.
Yeah. So Frank, let me go ahead and answer this. So he says, just as I thought, Jonathan really has been kicked off the
He
show.
has.
No, shut up. He has not, man. And Ryan can confirm. He says, nah, man, he's stuck with family activities today. It's all good. I know he's missed the past couple, but Megan's birthday was last week, I think. And then he had a family get together this week. And I think the week before that was the community when he did the where he set up his outdoor um projection system, and they were going to do a movie outdoors. So for his community. So he's been gone. He was supposed to be on earlier at 2. He said, I can make that one, but I can't make the 5 o'clock or 8 o'clock one. But
Nah, we kicked him off. Stop covering for him.
he did not, man. You're gonna get me in trouble, dude. Jonathan is alive and well. Like I said, I've been talking with him quite a bit today. So he'll hopefully be back with us next week. Let's see. Got that one. All right, Megatron says, when are you going to release the review of the Arndell speakers? Great question. So it's going to be a little bit because I'm basically kind of in the early stages of that. So I did a video just this past week, something really different for my channel. Usually I wait until, sometimes I'll do an unboxing and like an overview, just talking about the specs and give you some B-roll and stuff like that. And then I'll do, sorry, I'm reading the chat. I think Jonathan's wife banned him from the podcast. That could be so. Man, see how I'm ADD? I'm telling you, man, I get so sidetracked. What was I saying? Oh, the Arundel speakers. So, I tried to do something totally different. I basically just set up the camera. And I'm like, you know what? I've got to hook this stuff up anyway. Why don't I do like a connect and talk kind of thing? And so it was just really off the cuff, unscripted, just kind of raw, not really even edited. It was just, I'm like, so I sent that to my patrons. And so a lot of times I'll bounce ideas off patrons. They get to see stuff that you guys on my channel don't get to see. And typically I don't show the mess on YouTube. It's more polished, and, you know, I'll hide all the other boxes that are in the theater room. So you just don't see that. But my patrons, I don't care. I'm like, look, you guys are my core. I'll show you all the you know, the boxes and everything that just is out of place, and even the failures and all that. But I'm like, you know what if I just, I don't know, just shared that. And so just kind of allowed you as the audience to see, you know, what kind of goes into a review, even just the initial stages of setting up, and even some of the challenge that I have in my room, because yes, I have a dedicated theater room, but when I get something in for review, like, you know, 7 speakers from Arundel, I've got to unhook all of mine, hook up, you know, other speaker cables to those. And then in my brain, man, I just start questioning what's the best way to do this. Do I use the Denon 4800 that I've got in for review to power it? Do I use my system, the Marantz AV7706 with the the Monolith 11X? Do I use the Anthem AV70 with the Monolith 11X? So there's like all these different ways I could do it, and there's probably not a right way or wrong way. It's just different ways. And so in that video, I just kind of talked through that, like the struggles that I have internally with what I call analysis paralysis. And so, but it was just really cool. And I got a lot of great feedback, just folks saying, you know, thanks for letting us just kind of see into your life a little bit. And that's what I do regularly on Patreon. So just thought that'd be kind of cool. So I may introduce more of that on the channel as well. Because like I said, I got to set up stuff anyway. I got to connect it. So maybe I'll do some more initial thoughts without it being a review. I'll save that for later, and that'll be more polished. So good question there. Joe says, Ryan, where's my invoice for the Rvolution, bro?
I'm getting called out.
He does, huh?
I'm getting called out because I haven't invoiced him yet.
Yeah.
I haven't invoiced you, but they did ship them to me. So they're on their way. They shipped out Friday. So I'm going to send that to you now while Michael is talking.
There you go. See, so Joey's going to hook you up.
Let's kill that.
Yep. So I did a video on that, had a chance to interview Raphael. So if you haven't seen that video, basically Zapitti's going out of business. They've got a brand new company, and I wish I could share like the back, not the back, but kind of like the inside of what's going on there. Because I know some of you are concerned, like, oh man, Zapitti, you know, they dropped the ball. And just, I guess, trust me when I say there's more to that story. So it's not like somebody asked today, like, is Rvolution, are they a shady company? No, it's not a shady company. They just had some things that just didn't work out, put it that way, with the other one. And it wasn't anything to do with the lawsuit with, you know, the NAS server, because we can't have that in the US. They deemed it illegal in the States. So that was no big deal. They just said, okay, we won't sell it in the States. We'll sell it everywhere else. And the government was like, cool, no problem. So it wasn't that. So anyway, but unfortunately, that's all I can share about that. But Peter, I have RAW and I can only measure the left and right channels. How do I measure the center and surrounds? Great question, man. Ryan, that is the ASIO. Is that correct? You know, there's 2 ways of doing that.
So, yes.
Because one of them allows you to select each individual channel, at least the bed layer, like 7
up
speakers.
to a point. My suggestion in this, to make this even easier, is just, well, how would I do this?
Yeah, I think it's called ASIO.
The easiest solution for this would be, as long as all the amps are the same and you're not creating more havoc than it's worth, would be to just route everything out of your front left. Just unplug the speaker that you're testing and plug it into your front left, and just use that. You're just going to have to unplug and plug back in every time. And then you don't have to mess with ASIO. That would be my
Okay, but I'm
suggestion.
really Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Because you're changing the physical speed. You're using the same amp,
Same power. Right,
but
right.
you're
Okay.
changing the speaker location so you can get measurements. Well, if you're using the internal amps, but if you're not, then you're using the rest of the signal chain. It's just you just need to make sure when you apply the PEQ that you're applying it to the correct channels and not just continually overwriting your left front.
Yeah. I'd
That'd
recommend
be what I
just
would do.
do a Google search or YouTube search, REW and ASIO.
It sucks
I
so
know,
bad.
I know. It's got hiccups. I can't even get it to work on my laptop, on my MacBook. I got to figure that out. So I haven't been since I've gotten the laptop, which has been a while. I haven't taken the first measurement with REW because I couldn't
It's
get
bad.
it. Yeah. So I got to figure that out on my end too. Yeah, there you go. ASIO for all, Jonathan says.
It's fine. It just sucks.
If it works, it's good. Let's see. That George says, looking to buy an amplifier to run my LCR. What do you recommend? I have all clip speakers and a Denon 4700.
What makes you feel like you need an amp? Would be my first question.
Yeah.
Because we only buy things here if they're actually going to provide an improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on what clip. I mean, most clip speakers are pretty efficient. And the 4700, that's got a good solid amplifier in it. So unless you're powering, like you're maxing it out, what is the 4700? Is that a 9-channel? 4700.
Yes. Yes,
Yes, a 9-channel. So, I mean, it's a 125 watt per channel, but if you add all 9, then of course that's going to diminish. So, and keep in mind too that it takes twice the amplification to gain 3 decibels in volume. So even just going from, I mean, like, let's say you got a 9, I don't even think they make one, but let's say a 7 by 100 watt amp or 7 by 125. I mean, you've gained 3 decibels, you know. So it may or may not. George, I know I've run clips for a long time, and every time I like running an external amplifier. I'm all for it, but I think it's mostly up here. I just want to know that there's nothing I'm going to throw at this that it's going to struggle with. It can handle it. It's got plenty of overhead, but how much of that I actually need is probably a lot less than I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, I mean, Ryan's in the same boat. He's got big amplifiers, and I mean, his front speakers need them. But
yeah.
I like.
I buy once, cry once. I was buying the amps anyway. I was just going to spend a little bit more to get the bigger ones in case I needed them, and that was that. But
yeah.
let's jump over to Bridge real quick. As I'm in the UK, it's late and I have to get off soon. Just want to know your thoughts on the Rvolution. Is it a prop or value for money? Thanks, guys. PS, love that picture in the background.
Thanks, brother.
So the Rvolution, Michael said he just got his. He hasn't messed with it. Mine was shipped on Friday. It should be here soon, hopefully early this week. What we saw at the Tech Summit looked really good.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited about is to not have to do anything. Like Plex is fine, but I have to manage everything with Plex. Yeah, it does a lot of stuff automatically, but anybody that is a power user in Plex knows that you still have to do a bunch of stuff to it. From what I saw with Rvolution, it's more of an automated process. They have video backgrounds that are custom curated. It automatically goes out and finds a lot more. What's the word? I don't know what the word is, but it goes and finds cover art a lot more.
Like the metadata?
Effectively. I don't know what the word was I was looking for. It just seems like more of a hands-off approach. At least that's just what I got from looking at it. I haven't used it, so I don't really have a hands-on opinion yet. It's very much of me just watching Raphael go through some stuff, and it looks really good. I mean, the Magnetar, which is, I think it's made by the same company. I think. Maybe it's not. But the Magnetar is an Oppo clone. So it's what I would say is pretty universally the best disc player out there, and it does things virtually identical, if not better, than what the Oppo did. And the Rvolution is just kind of a offshoot of that, from what I understand. But they may not, maybe they're not the same company, but that's the idea that I got from talking to Raphael about it. So I think it's worth it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I may be able to do like a kind of an intro to it tomorrow. That's kind of the hope. So if we don't go super long tonight, then I'm heading in the theater room. I'll do a video unboxing it, get it hooked up. And
I don't want to go late tonight.
What's that?
I don't want to go like an hour and a half is where I want to be.
Yeah,
I'll go like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's not gonna be long. All right, like I said, this is our second live stream today. All right, so we got that one. Kevin says, anyone have any experience with a slate screen? Better black levels if your screen isn't white.
So colored screens. The reason that a lot of acoustically or ambient light rejecting screens are off color or gray or black is because they are artificially boosting contrast, right? So they're using the darker color of the material to boost your black level. The problem with that, though, is you're reinforcing your blacks and your darks, but you're creating problems at the white or the opposite end of the spectrum. So now your whites are going to be off color, and your temperature and your white balance, it's all going to be different. So there is always a pro and con. The white unity is typically the best, but you do need a darker room or it starts to wash out because you don't have any of that reinforcement for your contrast. So it's just really going to depend on what you're trying to do. Do you want to reinforce your black floor? Do you need the ambient light rejecting screen? Or do you, if you have a dark enough room or full light control, do you want everything to just be in balance? Because the white isn't going to make your blacks wrong. Like if it's unity gain and it's black and you have full light control, it is black. It's not like it's some shade of gray. It's still black. It's just you've got to have full light control, and your projector would need to be able to get to a full off like a OLED would. Otherwise, it's like on my NZ9, there is some gray or charcoal or some dark color. It's you can tell it's not fully black next to the velvet.
Yeah. And what he means by unity is it's basically there's no gain or boost in the brightness. So when it hits the screen, it's coming back like equally. Yeah. So like my screen is a 0.8 gain. So I actually lose just a tad bit of light when it hits the screen. Some screens people go with like a 1.3 gain, so it boosts that. So unity would be kind of right in the middle.
And then the problem with a lot of the 1.3 gain screens is you run into uniformity issues and hot spotting and off angle viewing, and they can be detrimental to your black floor because they're boosting your brightness.
Oh yeah, here we go. Bridge says, great watching you guys from the UK. Ryan, are you looking forward to Dune 2 being released in Oral 3D?
It's going to be awesome. Awesome.
He's pumped.
Phenomenal movie.
John says, is there any concern that a USB extension cable would have an impact on a calibration mic? So he's talking about like a 3.5 millimeter extension cable?
No, he's talking about like a USB-A to USB-A female.
I'm thinking like Odyssey mic. Maybe
they're
do it out of the room.
Yeah, maybe. And the reason I say maybe is because when you start adding extension cables, you can actually run into power problems. If the cable is too long, it's not going to be able to power the device correctly on the other end. You don't have this infinite run where you can power a device indefinitely no matter how long the cable is. You have to make sure that you're staying within the power spec for whatever you're trying to power. So potentially, I would think you should be okay, but Maybe. It's all like there's too many variables with that.
Yeah. Hi, Finest. Appreciate the $10 super chat. He says, if you run your mains large, apply a 24 dB octave, 30 hertz cutoff in multi-EQX, then use LFE plus main for the subs, will the subs get the main signal below 30 hertz, or is it lost with a 30 hertz cutoff? Love the channel. Appreciate it, man. All right, so there's a lot to unpack there.
Why wouldn't you just run your mains as small? I guess he wants the LFE going to him.
Because he's doing LFE plus main.
I can tell you that this is not worth it. And I can also tell you, almost guarantee that your mains, unless they are JTR 12s or 15s or the 410s with quads or, you know, some other insane speaker, you're not getting down to 30 hertz. Maybe 40. More than likely 45-ish. You need to measure.
Let us know if that answer. He says improving modality density. He says I have towers with dual 8-inch woofers powered by 500 watt amps.
I would highly doubt you're getting down that low. But maybe. What speakers are they?
Didn't he say? No, he didn't say. He just said towers with dual 8s. What model do you have, High Finest? We'll come back to you. Says Ryan, JR says, Ryan, have you seen the Cedia RP22 docs? Do you agree with the speaker positioning suggestions?
I have not read the RP22 docs. I haven't had time. I need to. So I don't have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
Is there something specific that you're questioning?
So back to High Finest, he's got 802 D4s. So that's Bowers and Wilkins. He said they measured about that without the subs.
But at what volume were you running that test tone? Because if it's not high enough, you could very possibly get a flat frequency response. But if you run louder, it could fall off.
JR, guys, did you find the explanation Arndal gave for choosing a soft dome tweeter satisfactory? So earlier we asked him, Ryan said, just curious. I always like to ask brands like, why did you choose to go this direction with this? And you'd asked him about the soft dome tweeter, and he shared about that.
I think I did. I mean, I don't think they're running away from the choices that they made. I think they recognize that a soft dome tweeter isn't capable of what something like a planar or horn or something is going to be able to do. Like I said earlier with screens, there's always a pro and con. The Silk or the soft dome tweeter is much easier to integrate, but it comes with its own drawbacks. But for the general populace, for what most people are trying to do with their theaters, it works extraordinarily well. And they've done a very good job in designing that speaker. So I think, yeah, I was happy with it, with their response. It's a good speaker. Just doesn't pass the Jonathan test of running reference level, which is okay. No soft dome tweeter, unless it's a line array, is really going to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Tito says, I'm looking at the RS1. I'm sorry, man, I can't think. RS 1100. JVC is not coming with a new entry level next year, are they?
I haven't heard anything, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. You don't typically find out about things until shortly before. But what I encourage you here, Tito, is 1, get in contact with Michael and I about the RS 1100. 2, don't always second guess your buying decisions because of something that may come out later, right? Because if you're always waiting, you're always going to be waiting.
Mm.
And the other thing to realize about JVC is that as historically, as they have moved up the evolutionary chain, they have lost contrast. They have sacrificed contrast for brightness, right?
Mm.
So when we saw this as a perfect example in the RS420 at my house during the projector shootout on the 100-inch screen, it was not nearly as bright as the NZ8, but even when we light matched them, the 420 won because of its contrast. So it's always a give and take. There's always going to be pluses and minuses. You just have to find the projector that ticks all the boxes for you right now. The other benefit to JVCs is they historically have a very good resale. So you shouldn't have any problems if you time the resale right, getting it out and being able to roll that money that you've recouped into whatever is new coming down the line. I think if that makes it work and you can use it now, get the RS 1100. It's a fantastic projector for the price point, especially because since they dropped the price point and you get that free bulb.
Looking at a couple. There's one that I was. Okay, maybe it's done. I'm just starting some more questions. All right, let's go back to Eric. Appreciate the $10 super chat. Having the OSD Travoce 15 sub on trial, is it active front speaker and 2 side mount on passive? That's correct. How would you normally install this, like distance from the passives to the wall? So, how close can he get these to the wall without, those passives kind of interfering? Because you've got, thinking back to I had the Klipsch RSW15s. They had an active in the rear and a passive in the front. And just to me, I ended up having them, I think about 6 or 7 inches from the wall. I would think that as long as you're not like butted right up against it. And the best thing too is if you have the ability to measure, put it up kind of, let's say 4 inches from the wall, take a measurement.
Put it up against the wall, measure it, move it away, measure it.
Then you'll physically see, okay, how is this impacting it? Because every subwoofer is going to have a different impact at your listening position, depending on where it's at in your room. So other than actually measuring it, you're kind of guessing. You can hear there's changes. You just don't know what frequencies are changing. So that'd be my recommendation, is just get REW, calibrated microphone, like a UMic 1, UMic 2, Dayton Audio, Omni mic, something like that. Take some measurements and let's try it at different locations. Back up here. All right, Tito has another question. For lamp-based projector that needs time to shut off, does a battery backup help in case of a power outage? Great question. Absolutely. Because it keeps the power to that projector to give you enough time to power it down. Now, depending on the size of that UPS is going to depend on how long that projector can stay on. So, but yeah, absolutely. Sadly, I don't have one on mine. Do you have one on yours, Ryan?
I have a laser. You don't need them.
Okay. Well, back when you had a lamp, did you run one?
Yes.
I was bad with my NX7, my Panasonics.
But you would unplug yours, so you weren't necessarily worried about it.
Well, but think about technically I could be in the theater room watching a movie and then I hear, and there goes my projector,
Yeah.
We get brownouts here. You don't always have warning, but it's those times where I do hear it that I run in there to shut it off. So, but yeah, so battery backup's a great thing. You definitely don't want to be just unplugging the power from a lamp-based projector. Van Gool says, if you plugged in everything, will your TV lose its setting and be reset?
No.
I don't know what the question is.
If you unplug your TV, will all your settings and stuff reset themselves back to default?
Yeah.
No.
And sometimes you got to unplug your TV just to reboot it. If it starts acting goofy, technically it's kind of like a computer. It's got computer modules in there. So yeah, you shouldn't lose that. If you do, that's an issue. Drop Zone says, how would JTR LCRs compare to the JBL 3722Ns that I currently have? So that's the same ones that Sheldon has, right?
Not worth upgrading.
But those are the same ones that Sheldon has, right?
Yes.
Big
Keep the
JBL, big
keep the
horn.
JBLs. They're good speakers.
Yeah, I've had several. Well, I think I've been at his home 2 or 3 times. Phenomenal system. If you guys are coming to MWave, you'll have a chance to check that out firsthand with his 1818s. No, 1618s. Holy cow. That's insane. Yeah, that may be a lateral move there. Travis, does Collade Escape sell refurb older units or have B to help, like, I guess, B stock to help lower the entrance pricing?
No, but I have a Strato S 6 terabyte that needs to go. It's a demo unit. Yeah, it's what I used to travel with and do stuff with. I'd sell it for 3,500 shipped. So you'd be all in the Collade Escape ecosystem for 3,500 bucks, which is well under what you would buy in at now. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because it's not being used. It's got some light scratching and stuff on the top because it's been traveled with and at shows and stuff, but it works great.
Yeah, so technically Collide Escape doesn't, but Ryan has one that's used.
But I do.
He'll sell it to you. Let's see. Vivid Theater. Ryan, is the new Storm Audio 20-channel AVR able to perform like as good as separate since it's a premium AVR?
Yes. It's very good. It'll do, I think, an actual 200 watts per channel. The thing's a hoss.
Man, that's awesome.
It's a beast. Don't think that it's anything like the more entry-level stuff. Really, everything else is entry-level in comparison to its price point. It's like throwing everything in together and having it all in one box. You just don't have the flexibility of having everything separate, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. So Grave Danger, what do you mean pretty quiet here tonight? Not sure. Got about the same amount of viewers, got 140 viewers, and we got 13 questions starred. So
well, last week when we were doing the controversial stuff, we were up over 200.
Yeah, I got you. So yeah, we definitely get a lot more comments in that. CJ says, question, Anthem AVM 90 or Marantz AV10? Ooh, which one would you all choose and why? So one, Anthem is using ARC. Ooh. And then Marantz has 2. So Marantz would use the Odyssey, but then they also have the ability to use Direct Live.
Well, I think we could go further than that. And they have Odyssey. They have the Odyssey app. Then they have the Odyssey, whatever the hell the multi-EQ $200 thing, which is actually really cool. Yeah. And then they have Dirac in a couple different flavors because you have to move up.
Correct.
If I were in your position, I would do the AV10 because Marantz is a tried and true company. They've been doing this for a long time. Their hardware is built like a tank. It looks really good. People dog on Odyssey, but at MWave, I think people realize that it's very hard to tell the difference. And if you were to do the $200 upgrade and do the PEQ, I mean, it gives you everything that you need. It's 15.4, so it's 19 channels.
Yeah,
it's just awesome.
Yeah,
and it's great.
Yeah, Benny says he just picked up an AV10 because he's a Dirac fan and prefer the Marantz on-screen menu, which is better and a tad bit cheaper.
Yeah, well, if you want an AV10, I know I'm doing a lot of self-promotion because people are wanting stuff. I have 3 of them right now, so we can ship tomorrow if you need something. They're fantastic. I sell a lot of them. The AV10 is something that Marantz needed to do for a long time. The 8805 was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so is the 7706, but their drawbacks were they didn't have enough channels. The AV10, with its 4 dedicated sub-outs and 15 dedicated speaker channels, is huge. So I think it's, if you're in the market and you're looking in that price point, it's really hard to beat coming from them. I mean, you hear problems from a bunch of other companies. I won't name names, but you don't hear really anybody having problems with Marantz. They had that one issue with the HDMI 2.1 when it came out, but so did everybody. And that was led back to, I think it was a problem with the board supplier, and most companies get their stuff from the same manufacturers. So I think it's, if you're looking, AV10.
Cool. I'm just replying to, who was it? Brad in the channel. He's wondering how to contact you.
Got it.
I dropped it in the chat.
Wouldn't you say the 7706, the 8805 is the 7706's replacement?
So I
Or
have
no?
the 70. No, I have the 7705. That's an 11.2 channel, and the 8805 wasn't that?
But what do you like? Their new 7706 has HDMI 2.1. It has all this stuff. What are they replacing? Like, why would they rebuild that when it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
When it has all that stuff already.
Yeah, the 8805, that was just higher channel count for the
Well, I'm
most part.
saying like the 7706 in general. Why would they create a replacement when they've already upgraded it to HDMI 2.1?
Sure.
I don't think you're gaining anything.
Yeah. Well, the one thing,
Maybe
like
Dirac.
all of those are kind of being replaced by the AV series, or the Cinema series. Sorry. So a lot of the Cinema series.
So MW says Dirac will phase and timeline the best. We've done these comparisons, and it may technically do it. I don't have the data to prove it, but hearing them, I don't know that I could necessarily tell the difference aside from what Dirac would be doing with the frequency response and stuff. It'd be really, really hard. It's closer than you think.
Bruce says, I heard stores are not selling DVDs and Blu-ray movies as much and may end altogether. Is this true? If so, other than streaming services, what other options are currently available? So we'll take that in two segments. So I made a post about Best Buy.
You did.
So they made an announcement that starting, I think, January, they're no longer going to carry Blu-rays, 4Ks, even DVDs, both in the store as well as online on their website. And so that is one vendor that is removing all physical media for movies. Now, will other places like Walmart, Amazon, will they file suit? Don't know. Time will tell on that. But we realize that it definitely could be heading that direction. But we've been saying that too for many years. We just don't know when. So it really depends on other companies. So yes, it is true that some of them are doing that. So if so, other than streaming services, what other options do we have?
Collade Escape, Apple Music, or Apple Movies.
TV.
Apple Movies.
Is that what it is?
Well, I don't know. You buy the movie through Apple.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You got Voodoo.
When you do that, that's streaming though? They're not downloading it to your Apple TV device,
Correct.
right?
Yes. Okay. So I guess it technically is still streaming.
Yeah.
Voodoo, are they streamed?
I haven't used Voodoo. I mean, you're gonna have your normal places like Disney Plus. You've got Amazon.
I think the only one that's really not streaming is Collade Escape.
Yeah, that's physically downloading. Yeah, I don't know of anything else. And if physical media goes away, then there's not going to be a way to get new physical disc. So we're going to have.
I don't think physical media will. Is Best Buy dropping it entirely or just in store?
No, it says in store and online.
Wow.
Best Buy media movies. Pull up the article real quick. AP News. Yep. And I don't know if this is what did I just do?
Broke something.
Yeah. All right, let's close this. It says Best Buy is saying goodbye to movie watching with physical disc. Consumer electronics retailer plans to phase out its DVD and Blu-ray sales by early 2024, with physical movies set to be sold in stores and online as they are today through the holidays. Best Buy confirmed. Games aren't going to be impacted. But somewhere I read that they aren't even doing it online either. So just looking through here. Yeah, I see like Netflix closed. Yeah, so definitely there's plenty of articles out there if you want to kind of just search that. But it definitely is a possibility. We might be heading that direction. Percy says, what do you guys recommend for shelf mounting a projector? Had to change my setup and I have to shelf mount it. Thanks again. So mine isn't anything fancy, but it's outside my room. So mine literally has 2x4s for bracing. And then I use real thick threaded rods, just some nuts, washers, and then plywood. So I can adjust it, I can level it. But it's literally a big square inside a closet. If you're mounting it inside your room, number one, it depends on what projector you have. Some projectors are 50 pounds. My NZ8 is what, 46 pounds. So that's pretty substantial. If you're
No, it's over 50.
Is it over 50? Really?
I think so.
I don't remember. Anyway, it's close to 50. If you've got something a little bit smaller, like maybe a 5040 UB or something like that, or 5050 from Epson, they're going to be a little bit lighter. I mean, you can get as creative as you want with that. You can use L brackets, strong L brackets. Make sure you get in the studs. It just depends on how fancy you want to get. You can build a hush box if you want to Google that on how to build those. Those are definitely more involved. You want to get some AC into it. He says he has the LS 12,000.
I think what you just said is perfect.
Just do some L brackets. And again, I don't know how to make that look pretty.
If you're doing it in a basement, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing some type of decoupling or isolation, because if the vibration is going to vibrate, it's not going to hurt the projector. You'll just see some shake.
Yeah, you'll think your eyes are rolling.
Yeah.
in your head. Schmuck says, is the Rvolution a rebrand in a way of Zapitti or made by the same team? So it's not the same team, correct?
I think it's the same team.
Really?
I think so. They took what they learned from Zapitti and redid it.
Yes.
But it's not the same company. It's like the technical and design engineers and stuff, I think, are the same, but this is where it gets complicated.
Yeah. Let's just say some of the team is no longer with them.
Yeah. Some of the people that were behind Zapitti in like the technical design parts, yes, but it's not the same company.
Right. Yeah. They kind of parted ways. And so they're like, we like what we did, but we think we can improve it. And so, yes, it's some of the same members, put it that way. Joe says, I got 5,400 Blu-rays. What does that mean? 52,400?
I have no idea what that means.
I'm not sure, Joe. Anyway, 5,400 Blu-rays in with the Zidu, and started seeing the lag of cover art. So he's talking about when you're scrolling through the media gallery, it just kind of lags, but it's still a good device. Hoping the Rvolution gets me closer to a premium user interface.
So this is something that you and I noticed when we saw the Rvolution.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about it, because I liked the Zidu.
Yeah.
And I liked the Zapitti, but this was a big problem for me, was user interface quickness.
Yeah, the load times.
And from what Michael and I saw in our brief demonstration, this was no longer a problem.
Yeah, go check out my video if you haven't seen it, Joe. It was pretty interesting because Raphael, he was at the top and he just held down. It was like, like 400 movies all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
With the Zapitti, I can click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you'll see it go 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
And it literally would go that slow. I'm like, oh man. So that
They
was
learned
my biggest complaint.
they
with that.
learned a lot, and you can tell
Yeah.
that they learned a lot from the Zapitti to the Rvolution, because the frustrations that I had in the Zapitti, I didn't see in the Rvolution. So I was very happy that the company actually learned and put those practices into place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I think the biggest reason is on the Zapitti, they stored all that metadata as well as the artwork on their server. So
Mhm.
it would have to download it and
Mhm.
like almost like a temporary cache. And then when you restarted it, did the same thing, I think, because I never could get it to go really fast. And then what they were saying with this one, with the Rvolution, they actually take all that data and it may have to take a little bit to load the first time, but then it's stored on the unit and then it should go faster. And he said they're even still making some tweaks on the caching internally. So we may see some firmware updates on that. But Alvaro says, how many subwoofers is too many?
There isn't.
Technically, the answer is infinite. And I don't say that jokingly. There's data to prove that. If you could have infinite subwoofers, you would have an absolute flat frequency response. So the more you have, the more headroom you have, the flatter. If you're dialing them in, I mean, you got to do some calibration, make sure they're time aligned. But yeah, having too many is not a bad thing. There's a lot of benefits. Justin says, do you think Collade Escape will offer a cheaper entry option now to get more people in the door? So that is the age-old question. You know, we all would love to see Collade Escape come out with, I've heard guys talk about almost like well, they have, I guess I'm confused because they have the rental program, right? You can rent a movie through Collide Escape.
Yes.
Okay. But somebody, I forget the scenario, but they said, man, if they would only do this, like come out with a 1 terabyte hard drive to keep that cheap. And this would be for the person that doesn't care to have 500 movies stored.
I've been pushing them to do this. It's not out of the question. It's just there hasn't been anything that they've said as a company that's coming.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I mean, anything we can do to get Collide Escape into more hands, I think would be awesome. So, but we'll just have to wait and see. And again, we don't know from companies what they're working on. You know, they always hold that close to the chest. And then when they get it all worked out, then they announce it and then they publicize it.
Mm-hmm.
So like Rvolution, we had no idea that they were designing that. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, hey, we got something really cool. Want to see it? We're like, yeah, I want to see it, you know? Mad One Racing says, evening, are non-OEM projector bulbs reliable? I would say no. It's hard to find Epson 6030UB OEM bulbs. The market non-eBay is flooded with comparable suggestions, but I'm not ready to upgrade the projector. I get that. So is there a place that he can buy older bulbs from that are legit?
Contact Epson directly and see if they have any available.
That's the hardest thing, man, because I've just heard horror stories with people. Number one, when you buy a non-manufactured bulb, third-party bulb, most of the time they just don't measure well, or they're not as bright, things like that, or they dim real quick. And I've heard some of them even exploding, and so then you just got a big mess inside your projector. So I've just always been told from the beginning when I started building my home theater 14 years ago that you definitely don't skimp out on it, especially to say, like in your case, it's not a matter of trying to go cheap. There's just none available. But yeah, I would recommend getting an OEM. What's the price on the Rvolution? I believe it's $8.99. Check out my video on the channel.
It is $8.99.
It's a real short video, but you'll get to see it in action. And then I'll have more content here probably this week on it. Oh, I just took that out. Home Theater Nerd, question about the infrasonic subs. If you look at BEQ graphs, which is called base EQ, very, very few movies have content under 20 hertz. How important is it to have subs that perform at 10 hertz for movie watching only? So his logic or his question is, based on graphs he's seen, there's very few movies that have sub 20 hertz. And I don't know. I think I disagree with that, but I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't seen all the charts and all the movies out there, but are there plenty of movies that have sub 20 hertz even without BEQ?
I don't think it's just about the subs being able to dig down to 10 hertz. It's about the capability to have a flat frequency response at the frequencies that are needed and be able to do that at increasing volumes, right? A lot of the frequency responses that you see measured, when they get down to like 20 hertz, you're getting like 90 or 100 dB, let's say 100 dB, right? Well, if I'm listening at reference, which I am prone to do on certain movies, 105, right? And then you're what, 10 dB above that for your subs. Then I am plus 15 on my house curve. So I need 125 for my peak sub output.
Yeah.
What subs do that? 4000s do, but it's not just about getting to 10 hertz.
Yeah.
It's about having the output capability to be able to get to those volumes that very, very few subs are capable of getting to. So don't let it just be a question of
low extension.
It needs to be how well that sub is able to deal with output.
Tarhoya, Justin Laird, I'd be surprised if Collade Escape offer a lower priced device based on what happened with Zapitti, since they target a luxury market and aren't priced based on hardware cost. So yeah.
The other thing that people need to consider is if they offer a lower priced product, they're going to increase their product sold tremendously, which may be a great thing, you would think, and it is to a point. But now you're also increasing the need for support, right? And if there's any licensing costs and stuff associated with that, that could also vastly increase. So there's a lot of things that go into this, and it's possible that that's just not something Collade Escape wants to deal with. They could be, but there's a lot of unknowns with this.
Okay, we'll hit a few more questions tonight. Bernard, PB3000 or SB16, PB4000 just too physically deep for my... Okay, so the PB4000 is no go. It's too deep. So out of these two, PB3000 or the SB16.
What about the PB16?
What's that?
What about the PB16? Is it too big?
Yeah, the PB16 is going to be pretty close to the PB4000, maybe even bigger.
Then I'd say the SB16 over the PB3000.
I don't know.
Over the 3000?
Yeah, I just don't know if there's enough output on the SB16 for me. Again, I had two of them, and my room isn't massive, but I wanted more. You know, so that's why I ended up buying the PB16s, two of them. And maybe I'm just weird. Maybe I just, I don't know.
Well, let's find out. What is the... Because Audioholics is probably done.
Oh, okay. Like
Audioholics.
Okay.
PB3000.
Jonathan says, gotta respect the opinion of a man with a pair of Audis on.
Heck yeah. I mean, I got Hi-Fi Man sitting here. So
you got a few.
I got a few. There's the Hi-Fi Senderas that I have next to me, and then the Sennheiser HD800Ss.
Yeah.
These are their new, I don't even remember what the model number is. This is Audizi's new studio monitor headphones that I don't remember the gentleman that they collaborated with, but they're great. I really like them.
And MW says Wisdom has a S9i that's real slim. Grave Danger says RTJ 18s. Alcons and Cricks do a slim 18.
Yeah, but when you're starting to get into those, you're increasing the price exponentially.
Yeah, sure.
So let's look at...
Yeah, going from a PB3000 to the cost of a RT, especially an RTJ 18, that's massive. 4 times the price.
So SB3000 can do 87 dB at 16.
PB3000.
No, that's the SB. And then the PB can do 82 dB at 12.5. So now let's look at what is
SB16. That's the other one.
I do trust their measurements. So the SB16 can do 89 at 12.5.
So not a lot of difference.
That's a lot more.
Wait, what were the two numbers?
82 to 89.
Oh, okay. I guess I was thinking like 88, 89. I'm like,
no.
Okay.
The PB3000 will do 82 at 12.5. The SB16 will do 89 at 12.5 and then 84 at 10.
Maybe I was wanting that 115.
Yeah, that it's not going to work.
Well, that's why I wanted the PB60. Yeah, that's why.
It's not going to happen.
I liked it. I mean, it's definitely a clean sub.
But this is a perfect example of like at 20 hertz,
mm-hmm.
the SB16 can only do 100 dB.
Mm.
The JTR 4000 UL, I know it's a totally different class of sub,
sure.
but we'll do 110 at 10.
Yeah. And to hit that output at really low extensions, that's why I always tell people, they're like, oh, how does your JTR subs compare with your old clips? They don't.
There's no comparison.
Even my PB16s, they don't.
There's no
they
comparison.
really don't. So
now remember, the 4000 is enormous
mm-hmm.
and weighs 300 pounds.
Yeah. And I've got a
your RS2s are.
I've got a Shure VTF 15.
I'm anxious to see how that does.
Yeah. Well, I got to get my laptop to where I can actually measure.
Is he letting you keep that?
No, I don't think so.
I wonder if he'll let us take it to MWave.
Might. I could ask him.
Got to get Dr. Shu out.
That's a long time. Yeah.
I know, but you know, if he
hang on to it for a year.
I don't know if it's that thing's making tours. I don't know. That was my point.
I'm just saying he could always ship it to us.
Oh, sure.
I'd love for him to come, man. I think it'd be great.
I would too.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to him. We'll see if we can get him there. That'd be awesome. Let us know in the chat if you'd like to see Dr. Shu at MWave 2024. I think it'd be awesome. Herc says, do you guys get a lot of rattles in your room from the subsonic frequencies of those JTR subs? I do. And most of mine comes from my cabinet. And so I've got to spend some time figuring out, like, how do I dampen that? How do I stop parts of it from rattling? So that's the biggest thing.
Oh,
but yeah,
sorry, didn't mean to do that.
There's definitely some rattles in my room.
I don't really as much anymore. One, I put like 200 or 300 screws in my room. Mm-hmm. Went around and found a bunch of rattles.
Yeah.
The other thing is time alignment and redoing my subs and their integration helped tremendously, because what'll end up happening when you don't integrate your subs properly is you have to overdrive them. Mm-hmm. And they interact with your room too much. In my case.
Oh, we did that one.
Yep, we did.
I must have skipped one, I guess. Dane says, does anyone know if you can access Collade Escape outside the US with a VPN?
Yes.
Okay. JR, Ryan, do you have a product list of what you have available for sale? Maybe looking at something might catch my He just wants to window shop, and if he sees something like, he's gonna hit you up, man.
So if you go to my website, ascendav.net, Michael put together a section with all the brands that I cover. I have access to virtually everything that those brands offer. The couple brands that are not on there are JBL, Arkham, Revel, and Ascendo. They're not on there. I need to add them.
Just let me know. I'll put them on there.
Well, okay. Let's put them on there.
Just shoot me an email.
But as far as like what I have readily available that could go out tomorrow, I don't like have a list, but you've got
AV10.
I could tell you right now, I've got 3 AV10s, A1H, a Denon 8500, an LS 12000, the Focal
Vestia
series. I've got 2 of their towers, 2 bookshelves, and a subwoofer and a center channel. Revel M105s, JBL HDI 1600s, SVS Ultras, they're bookshelf towers. I've got a per listen what is it? D15S subwoofer. There's 2 per listen S4B bookshelves in gloss ebony, which are gorgeous. They're the ones that are at MWave. We're at MWave. And then I have 4 per listen S4Ss, which are their surrounds. What else am I missing? There's 1 Martin Logan F200 tower in black from MWave. And there is a Storm PA16 amplifier. What is your preferred remote that can be programmed? Oh, we'll get to that. Do I have any used Trinnov stuff? No.
I was gonna say just anyway. I was gonna be funny with that one,
but Anthony, if you need Trinnov, we should talk. I saw you paid your invoice for the Rvolution.
Rafael says,
that'll ship out as soon as you get. I get it. Sorry.
What do you guys think about Monolith 11X or X11 and OSD Black Teatro X11 and the Tone Winner 8300 looking for a new amp? I'll be honest, I've had the 11X for a long time. Love it. Rock solid. I haven't reviewed the OSD Black or the Tone Winner.
I mean, the Monolith stuff's made by ATI.
I mean, it's solid. It's heavy. Big old beast. Plenty of power.
Rafael, if you're in the United States, I'd buy a Buckeye. I'd go digital. I wouldn't do...
He's not a fan.
Well, I am, but I think digital is the way to go. I mean, there's no reason not to. They're more efficient. You get more power. I think you're going to be able... It may be a little bit more expensive to get 11 channels in Buckeye, but you're going to get a lot more power.
You have to do multiple amps too.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the limiting factors with me. I'm literally running out of space in my room, in my cabinet. And so I wanted an all-in-one amp. So that's why I went with it. So, let's see. No, nothing. Tech question. I was using a Dolby 5.1.2 speaker sound test on the surround speakers. 50% of the noise came from my front. 50% came from surround on rear speaker. 100% came from my surround. Thoughts? I have no idea like what sound.
I was using a Dolby 5.1 speaker sound test on the surround speakers. 50% of the noise came from my front sound on rear. It would depend on what they're trying to do. I mean, was it one channel or did it just say front? Because maybe they were using the surrounds to create more of an ambient or ambiance sound.
And also check to see what like what setting you've got on your AVR. So if you, let's say for instance, if you had it in, I don't know, 2-channel stereo, and then you try to play one of those, that could impact that. So make sure you have it like on a Dolby digital or Dolby Atmos setting.
Or if he's in like all channel surround or something.
Yeah. So again, a lot of unknowns there. Geotech, what's your preferred remote that can be programmed by the end user?
Harmony.
What's that?
Harmony.
I mean, the hard thing is
there isn't one.
Starting to stop working. Like mine's struggling. It really is, especially with charging.
There isn't one. So
the only, and I always mention this, and I'm still trying to get one in for review. It's the YIO Remote 2. So there are some limitations in it. It looks amazing. It looks like it can absolutely go beyond what Harmony did as far as functionality and programmability by the end user. The only difficulty, one of the difficulties, is they don't have a database like Harmony does.
It'll get there. I'm not worried about that.
Right. But I'm just saying, well, and the reason why I say that is I literally just yesterday saw somebody complaining. They're like, how do I get this thing programmed? Because I'm plugging in my, let's say my Marantz receiver, and it doesn't, all it gives me is generic something. And how do I know which one? And So those are going to be some things that the community, because it's a Kickstarter program, the community is going to basically build that database over time. And so
Geotech says they renamed to Unfolded Circle.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if is that the new name though? Yeah, Harmony's
Ava
dead.
Remote is not end user programmable.
Yeah, I checked with Ava. Somebody asked me about it, and it's a dealer based. Yeah, so I don't think so, Finster. I could be wrong, but I literally just talked to them not too long ago, probably within definitely the past 6 months or a year. And I had reached out to them because you guys had told me, hey, how about Ava? And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, here's the situation. I've got, my followers are wanting a solution from Harmony. And, they mentioned your company. And they said, well, we go through dealers and they program it. So it's more on the lines of a Control 4, Savant, Crestron.
And the reason companies do that, guys, is because it helps them immensely with customer support. Because then the end user contacts the dealer first, then the dealer gets in contact with the company. So it streamlines and makes it easier for the vendor to offer support. It's very similar to how we at MadVR operate, because I can't, like, I do the majority of the support. I can't facilitate the end users. It would overwhelm us. So that's why they operate like that, is because it allows them to be functional while still staying streamlined.
So Chris says, is it vaporware? Never seen a review of Ava. No, it's not vaporware. I mean, it exists.
It's
like
new.
I said, I just saw them at CEDIA Tech Summit. So they were there. So, I mean, they're still active. They're still growing. I just don't know how big it is as a company. And then Geotech says YO is now Unfolded Circle. Okay. So they rebranded their name. Couple more questions and we're going to call it a night. Tarhoya, we need to get Jeffrey to do an Ascendo room at MWave one year. Absolutely.
I'm pushing him.
Yeah. We talked to him last year. They had too many other shows that they were going to. So
I'm trying to work something, because I'm doing Ascendo, I think, for my room. So we're trying to work something to get like the Black Swans to there. And,
awesome.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, if y'all guys hear them, you're going to like them a lot.
They're amazing.
I mean, they're expensive, but they're
amazing. They're one of those speakers, though, that I think they're worth the price. I mean, they're just, I don't know that they're worth the price point, but you don't go like, oh, this is an insanely expensive speaker and it doesn't sound very good.
Right.
I mean, they're really good.
I get that. Sure. Again, Joe, I didn't hear that. I mean, I'll be glad to reach out to them again. Maybe they're now allowing users to program their remotes. I just haven't heard that. So, but I'll be glad to shoot them an email. I'll let you know what I find out. Black swans all around, Ryan. That's what you need, my man.
I don't have room.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. The problem isn't the remote. It's the fact there's so many boxes to manage that have remotes. There should be one box to interface with. Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle. I mean, it really, really is. So standard interface protocol. That'd be nice. How about don't worry about remotes. Let's get HDMI figured out. Let's do that, shall we?
And USB while we're at it.
Yeah, both of those.
Yeah.
We could get HDMI, like, oh my gosh, that is a crapshoot. All right, let's do the last one here. Oh, good one. Ryan, controversial. Why do you like the Storm processor over Trinnov?
I think at this point, it's not necessarily that I like one over the other. I think it's more that I dislike Room EQ. I think when I do Room EQ, it leaves too many variables up that I don't have control over. And yes, you can go back and you can tweak things and you can do things like that. But at the end of the day, a manual EQ, I think, is going to win out every time. That's really where my issues lie, is that whenever I do a Room EQ and you go back and you look at the time alignments and the phasing and you look at what it did, it does a decent job. But when you compare it against what can be done manually, it's night and day a lot of times. So especially with subs are one of the hardest things. So how I view this is Room EQ is great at getting you 90% of the way there. But to get past that, it takes a lot of time and effort and knowledge to be able to really dig in and get the last 10% out of your room and what it's capable of. So in most situations, Room EQ, and for most people, Room EQ is awesome, but I've never been happy with it, in my opinion.
Well, super cool, man. So we're going to wrap up the show. Just throw this out there real quick. MWave 2024, mark your calendars, June 21st to the 23rd. We'll have general tickets on sale November the 1st. I'll have the VIP home theater experiences. Those will go on sale December the 1st. And then you can get all the details on MidwestAVExperience.com. There is already have a link under the attend home theater experiences. You can go ahead and be looking at those, because really my idea there is I'm going to give you plenty of time, plenty of heads up, a lot of announcements, emails saying, hey, it's coming. Be looking at them, figure out what you want to purchase, because last year and the first year, all our VIP options sold out. Some of them sold out in 12 hours. Some of them sold out in 24 hours. And then the VIP Platinum, even at $1,750 a piece, they sold out in 5 days. And so I want to give you plenty of time to look those over. I don't want you doing a Black Friday rush to figure, I want to give you time to look, to browse, figure out if it's a good fit for you. Is it going to bring value to you as a consumer? And then, you can have an opportunity to purchase those if you want to do that. And if you ever need anything, definitely hit us up, MidwestAVExperience.com/sales. Hope you guys have an incredible week. We'll see you next week.